Chapter 27 Southern Comfort, the 15th of March 2019, 11:50 a.m. Home at last. A fairly straightforward train journey back. £128 for a single ticket is a disgrace, though. The nice lady on the customer service desk suggested I check out the prices online after she'd sold me the ticket. I'm certainly racking up the expenses. I won't have any money left at this rate. I think I'd better tighten the belt a little. Mummy's up for a meal out tonight. She wanted to go for an Italian. That'll be nice. I'll send off that letter to Mr. Green and spend the rest of the afternoon in relax mode. A long, hot soak in a bubble bath sounds just about perfect. For the next couple of days, I'll do some ancestry research work and tie up a few loose ends. Minimum effort for a decent chunk of money. This last month has been pretty intense. I am emotionally drained, and hopefully I will sleep well tonight. I've arranged to meet Mum at Romeo's at 6:30. The food there is great, and the waiter fancies her like mad, so we always get good service. I'll make some tentative inquiries in the morning about Portland and Weymouth. It shouldn't be too hard to find information about housing developments built there since the late 1980s. It'll be interesting to see what happened to Artie Painter and decorators too. Both Arthur and Ernie were getting on in 1991. Arthur must have been in his 50s and Ernie was over 60. It's quite a physically demanding job, so they must have had one eye on retirement. Maybe they had enough staff working for them to allow them to take a back seat and enjoy the profits. Well, Arthur and Mandy anyway. Ernie was his employee. Unless things had changed, how could he retire? He would have had no pension, and he couldn't claim a state one either. The government don't tend to pay out for people who don't exist. Maybe Samantha had a good job, and hopefully I'll find out. Right, time to get a letter off to Mr. Green. 2:15 p.m. As usual, here is a copy of the letter. I have enclosed copies of the interviews as usual, and copies of the photographs I took on my phone for Mr. Simpson's scrapbooks and albums. I have also attached a sheet of known addresses and places of work, should he wish to do any future investigation without me. Mr. Green has a tendency to be quite prompt with his replies, and I hope he is on this occasion, as I would like to crack on while it's all still fresh in my mind. I still have no idea what Mr. Green wants with all this information, but his reasons are his prerogative, and I can't go asking him for his intentions and motives. What he wishes to do with the information I send is entirely up to him. I'm employed to do a job and follow his guidance and instruction, and yet I am so emotionally involved in this case I feel I need to know. I might end up doing a second investigation of my own on Mr. Green if I don't find out after all this. He's certainly a man of mystery, but he's been a gentleman at every turn, and he pays on time and pays well. Anyway, time will tell. In the meantime, I've got a job to do and a letter to write. 15th of March dated. Dear Mr. Green, I hope you're keeping well. As promised, this is my follow-up letter after another week on the case. I have spent the last 5 nights in London, where Mr. Grimshaw resided on his return to England. He spent the years between 1965 and the late 1986 living in the East End, both north and south of the River Thames. You can see from the attachments, Doc 6, a list of addresses where he lived and worked, along with a map. Unsurprisingly, Ernie proved to be just as popular in London as he was in New York. I have enclosed full transcripts of the interviews I conducted with old workmates and friends, Docs 1 to 4. The photographs, Doc 5, are part of Mr. Simpson's collection. He was happy for me to take copies and share them with you. As you can see, Ernie looked very handsome on his wedding day. You will need to read Mr. Simpson's interview in full to understand the significance of that day. Sometime in late 1986 or early 1987, Ernie moved to Dorset with his new wife, Samantha, and another couple, Arthur and Mandy Painter. Ernie worked for Arthur as a painter and decorator. You can see from Mr. Simpson's interview that I have an address to check out on the Isle of Portland where the couple lived. Mr. Simpson stayed in touch with the couples until 1991 before losing contact altogether. If you wish for me to continue with the investigation, I'm happy to do so. I await your instruction, and if there's anything within the attached documents that you wish to clarify, including the invoice list, Doc 7, please do not hesitate to ask. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Yours sincerely, Paul Brunskill. I will nip down to the post office and send this recorded delivery shortly. You should then get the letter in the morning, and then it's bath time. 5:30 p.m. You can't beat a good bath. I might look like a radish now, but I feel like a newborn baby. I almost fell asleep in there at one point. If it wasn't for my neighbours shouting at each other about the location of a hairbrush, I might have drifted off and drowned. I feel a lot better now, though. I better get cracking. I don't want to be late for the meal. 9:45 p.m. That was bloody lovely. I'm totally stuffed now. Mum's flirting certainly resulted in bigger portions tonight. I think she might actually fancy him too. That wouldn't be a bad thing. He's a decent chap, and I love Italian food. She deserves a bit of attention and flattery. I do too. The waitress was very pretty, and I'm sure I caught her eye when she was pouring the wine. Mind you, she's probably his daughter, and that would be a bit odd if Mum got together with the dad and me the daughter. Perhaps I'm getting a bit ahead of myself here. She only poured a glass of wine and dropped a used fork into Mum's handbag by accident. Hardly the start of a blossoming romance. I can still dream, though. I will ask Mum if she would like to go again next week. Double dating with your mother. Good Lord. Bedtime for me. It has been a long day, and I want a nice, uninterrupted sleep.